Amir, take it away.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I'm Amir Hajra Suliha, Assistant Professor at City and Regional Planning Department. Thank you for your support of our research project, Participatory Placemaking in Virtual Reality, and giving us the opportunity to report on our progress. 5 talented students and hardworking are working with me in this research who will introduce themselves and their role in the project in a moment. So if I may, I would like to share my screen to share some slides with you. Okay. First, as a reminder, I'll go over the main research questions of this project. The main purpose of this research is to understand how to implement virtual reality throughout the design and planning process, from ideation phase, collaborative design, public engagement, and the final visualization. But we are also want to understand what are the real benefits of using this technology and what are the shortcomings and limitations. And finally, we want to know how to expand the inclusivity of VR in terms of digital literacy and equipment accessibility. The application of VR requires specialized equipment and software. And the first question that we faced was how to integrate the new technology in the existing workflow of our urban design studios. Here you see a simple diagram illustrating geospatial modeling and communication applications that we typically use in our urban design studios. This simple diagram is not going to last for so long because in recent years, we have seen the emergence of various technologies that sooner or later will change the common practice of urban design. The challenge is how to navigate between the vast growing number of applications and come up with the optimized workflow that increase the efficiency and quality of placemaking without overcomplicating the technical aspect of design. For this reason, we are testing various VR and AR applications and their compatibility with various modeling softwares and also different VR and AR equipments to propose a simpler workflow that can be adopted in our urban design studio and also in the professional practice. I started this project in the summer with literature review, identifying existing VR, AR apps and initial assessment of their application in urban design and conceptualizing a new urban design workflow. A month ago, 5 students from both bachelor and master programs of city and regional planning started an independent study with me to evaluate the modeling and VR, AR apps, finalizing the design workflow, and also create a series of tutorial videos that can be used in our urban design studios and share the knowledge with the other students. I'm glad to report that in about 1 month, these 5 students have already tested and produced tutorial videos for multiple applications and tools. And I'll let our amazing students to introduce themselves and tell you about their unique role in this project. Let's start with Christy Wu.
Hi everyone, my name is Christy Wu and I'm a 3rd-year undergraduate in the CRP program. My responsibilities on this project focus on testing virtual workspace applications, and essentially what I'm trying to answer is this: which workspace applications best fit those in the planning field? So after my initial research, I found that most of these apps have a lot in common, and you can read about these features in the middle of my slide and how it makes collaboration in virtual reality different. But what I really want to focus on is how we can use these virtual workspaces in planning. So the first example here is that these apps can help in desk critiques and stakeholder engagement. You can share models in SketchUp and walk through these models while getting instant feedback from clients or team members through the app's voice chat. Second example here, more planning specific, is conducting a hydrology analysis. Laying out everything you need is so important when you're explaining the process to a client, and the multi-monitor sharing makes it easy to display GIS, AutoCAD, and any formulas you need to calculate runoff coefficient. Thank you so much, and I'll pass it over to James to talk more on SketchUp.
Hi everyone, my name is James Shireman. I'm a 3rd-year Bachelor City Planning student. My pronouns are he, him, his. My specialization within our research team is exploring the practicality of VR-capable SketchUp models. Initially, my research has revealed numerous advantages of this technology, examples including the capability to share and edit SketchUp models through the cloud, seamless integration into typical SketchUp workflows, the ability to provide immersive presentations in large-scale environments with human-scale perspectives, and lastly, and perhaps the most powerful, the ability to edit SketchUp models with multiple users in real time. Some examples of how this technology can be utilized in the field include presenting a site plan to a developer through the cloud, or visualizing urban design ideas in a first-person scale. Should you be interested in a more in-depth look at how VR Sketch functions, I provided a link to a tutorial video in the chat. And now I'll hand it off to my colleague, Trevor.
Thank you, James. Hello, everybody. My name is Trevor Winard, and I'm a third-year City and Regional Planning undergrad. In my research, I'm exploring the possibilities of the novel software of CityEngine and ArcGIS Urban for the discipline of urban planning. And they're both procedural modeling softwares that allow users to create rule-based models. And that makes them really suitable modeling applications for the planning process. And they're both compatible with virtual reality apps as well. Generative design processes, for example, bear particular relevance for estimating the differences between zoning alternatives. With ArcGIS Urban, it's possible to visualize the effects of new height limits or setback requirements on the entire urban fabric. And these technologies also have a profound impact on communicative planning because they can incorporate the entire gestalt of a site's context into a unified resource. Interactive maps depicting urban heat islands, floodplains, or circulation can be visualized alongside a site's building envelope and published in an accessible online format. Working with these technologies truly fills me with excitement about the future of the discipline. With that, I would like to pass it on to my colleague, Eric, who is evaluating the VR capabilities of these programs.
Hi, everyone. My name's Eric. My pronouns are he and his. I'm a second-year undergrad in the CRP program. My responsibilities on this project focus on CityEngine to Unreal Engine workflow. And essentially what I'm trying to answer is the feasibility of VR applications in planning and how we can use this software to the best of its capabilities without any knowledge of coding as seen in more traditional VR dev environments. So after my initial research, I found that CityEngine VR using UE4 is an exceptionally responsive application. It brings in digital models from CityEngine with ease. The most useful feature I found from CityEngine VR experience has to be the instantaneous switching of different scenarios that can be viewed within the VR workspace. Although I've created a tutorial video already, my next step is to return and revise them to increase the cohesiveness between my video and Trevor's tutorial videos while adding more information on usable features that I found later on. So feel free to glance at the two examples I envisioned near the bottom of the slide if you want more extra details on the usage. Now I'm going to pass it over to Alex to talk more about the augmented reality aspects.
Thank you, Eric. Hello, everyone. My name is Alex Lopez, and I am a first year in the Master in City and Regional Planning program. I am working on the application of augmented reality in urban design projects. I'm focusing on bringing 3D GIS data and placing it into the real world. I'm preparing various 3D GIS files to be tested in an app called BGIS. So far, I was successfully able to geo-reference the Construction Innovation Center here at Cal Poly SLO. With VGIS software, you would be able to walk to the Construction Innovation Center and put on a Holo 2 headset and see, for example, the mechanical infrastructure of the building. At the city scale, we can, for example, overlay an intersection design on the site and evaluate its design. I'm also looking into LiDAR technology in the latest iPhone 12 Pro. It allows the user to scan an area and bring the virtual model of existing built forms into a modeling and GIS programs. I've also just started on this project, and I hope to test it on the same CM building on campus. Now I'll leave it to Amir to conclude.
Thank you all. So the last phase of this research is to test the proposed workflow in the Urban Design Studio 3, which will be an urban design project in Gilroy, California in the spring quarter. We will use the produced tutorials to educate the other students with the new applications. And at the end of the quarter, we will reevaluate and possibly refine our workflow. Unfortunately, we cannot bring the VR equipment to the community and conduct participatory design with the community this year due to the COVID restrictions and online format of our studio, but we will implement the VR in other phases of design, from ideation phase to collaborative design, and hopefully showcasing our final product to the city staff in VR. Finally, we will share our findings in an article with the academic and professional community. Thank you for listening, and we're happy to take questions.
Thank you very much, Amir, and all of the students. Great work. Looking forward to hearing the questions from the group. Feel free to raise your hand.
I don't see everyone's, so.
I can't find the hand raise button, but I do have a question.
Go for it, David.
So very interesting. I actually have been sort of heading up a lot of this similar stuff at my company the last couple of years. And I'm curious if in your conversations about the collaborative process of this, if you've done any work with multiple people being in VR at the same time, or are you talking one person in VR while everyone else is watching what they're looking at on the screen? Because we found that we developed internal software that allowed us multiple people to be in the model simultaneously with avatars that represent you and where you are. Therefore, you can sort of point at something and look at something, and it's much better than one person being in VR and everyone else sort of watching and trying to sort of interpret what's happening on the screen.
Yes, there are different apps that have that capacity. For example, there is a plugin in SketchUp called VR SketchUp, which you can bring multiple users, and they can collaboratively not only see the model, but they can collaboratively change the model and edit the model. So that's something that was very exciting for us to realize that that possibility exists. And there are other collaborative apps like the one that Christy Wu worked on it called Spatial, which, as you mentioned, multiple people, each of them with their unique avatar can join a meeting and interact together. So that's our goal, to test these apps and find their unique position in our workflow and see how to best use them in a more efficient way.
Thanks, Amir. We have a question from Lisa.
Hello, Amir. Thanks for, and everybody, thanks for the great presentation. Really good work. You did talk about next steps, Amir, and the studio in the spring, but I was wondering, in addition, kind of going forward, how you and the department saw this kind of VR work incorporated in other classes and courses at Cal Poly.
Great questions. So we as a department and college invested in this technology with the hope that it can be expanded to the other classes. So I'm hoping to test this technology in Urban Design Studio first. We also purchased various headsets to test different equipments. For example, we also purchased HoloLens 2, which is relatively expensive headset to be able to do the AR compatibility as well. We're very hopeful that after really bringing the knowledge inside the department, we can share it and bring it to, we have a curriculum which is very practice oriented. We have different studios. Definitely it can be expanded to all of our urban design studios and also community planning studios. But we also had an experience in, for example, a course about disaster management. There was a video about how to mitigate disaster produced by FEMA, and we brought that VR equipment, and students watched that video, and it really bring to life some of the lessons that they could have, they wouldn't reach that level of depth knowledge in just watching a video. So this is a new field, but it's definitely a growing field, and we're expecting that more educational softwares and app will be produced that we can use this technology beyond just studios, but also in other lecture classes.
Thank you. Ray Hashimoto has put a comment in the chat. Would you just like to share that broadly, Ray?
Sure. Yeah, I was just mentioning that our landscape division at HMH uses VR quite a bit, and our clients have really appreciated it, and in some instances demanded it so they can see the designs as we're working on them. through the process. So I think students coming out with these skills are going to be have value and have a skill set that's going to be desirable when they're done at Cal Poly. We're using a lot of it in our marketing material as well. So it's VR is certainly on the come and an important skill to have.
Thanks, Ray. And maybe with the time left, in the order that you presented, students, could you just share a little bit about what you learned or what was most interesting and why you were inspired to participate in this research?
Sure, I can go first. Again, my name is Christy. I'm a third year. I was really drawn to this project because I used to see gaming, or I used to see VR in just a gaming perspective. But then when I took a course called Web Technologies for Planning, CRP 456 with Chris Steins, he talked about VR and stakeholder engagement, and he showed us a case study in Orem, Utah, where the local government used VR to visualize their long-range planning, and they brought in public and they brought in the citizens, and I thought it was like the coolest thing ever to see VR in not a gaming setting. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
Hi, James here. I was especially interested in this project. I think, especially the timing of it being in the pandemic, I really think that VR has this powerful way of kind of simulating that face-to-face connection. And I really think it's going to be the future for planning, of kind of giving that sort of international level professionalism, but to communities across the globe. And I think it's just going to be a really powerful tool in the future. And I thought, especially with the situation that we're currently in, it's a great way of reintegrating that sort of first-person connection.
Great perspective, James. I can't recall who presented next. Was it Trevor?
That was me.
Excellent.
I was really drawn to this process because of the generative modeling and the potential of it more closely reflecting the more process-oriented urban design process. And just as James was saying, also in terms of reducing alienation, the prospect of having something similar to a face-to-face interaction through VR was really inspiring.
Thanks, Trevor. I think Alex, were you next?
Yes. So first and foremost, I'm a big techie. So I love just like being a self-learner. So I was really drawn to this project because I just love learning about cutting edge technology. And I really feel like this is a technology that could be leveraged at a mass scale, like outside of planning, like how I think it was Ray said marketing as well. I think it could have implications for a lot of different fields, and planning is definitely one of those fields that you want to see in design as well. You want to see before producing something. And just to build off, what Trevor said and James said, was that, with this virtual world we're living in right now, everybody's on Zoom. I think it's the next step to, really collaborate. So I just see the potential in it there as well.
Thanks, Alex. And finally, Eric, your perspectives.
So I originally came into this project having interest in more of the VR aspect or the engine aspect, because I come from a background of actually coding Unity a bit for VR games as a hobby and an interest of mine. So when I learned about this, especially during the pandemic, I felt that VR is sort of a future professional tool that's being slowly implemented throughout different fields. Like, I understand how engineering right now is using VR as showcasing very easily. And I think planning and our field in general in the CAED needs to really catch up on this, because it's going to be a future. The pandemic has kind of exacerbated this process a bit, because now we have to somehow communicate physically while virtually. And so I think VR is the path forward.
And I just want to bring the attention to maybe a future city and regional planning major in Ray's lap. So I'm glad you brought this topic up while she was able to watch, or he was able to watch. There are a couple more questions in the chat, but unfortunately we've run out of time. So I will share those with you. They relate to real estate and VR, and then also I think it is the experience with playing video games in VR. So we can take those questions offline and connect you with the folks that asked those questions. Everybody join me in thanking all of the students and Amir